20 items from the 1980s that failed. The 1980s gave us a lot. Big hair, bold colors, neon leg warmers, cassette tapes, and unforgettable Saturday morning cartoons. But let's be honest, not everything from the 80s was built to last. Some inventions were awkward, some were ahead of their time, and some, well, they probably should have stayed on the drawing board. Today, we're counting down 20 items from the 1980s that failed, and why we sort of miss them anyway. Let's dive in and see which of these flops you might still secretly love. 1. Betamax. Tapes before VHS won the home video war. There was better, sharper image. Yes, smaller tapes, sure. But sadly, fewer movies. It was Sony's pride and joy. But by the time most people bought a VCR, Betamax was already fading. Finding rentals almost impossible. And when Blockbuster started carrying only VHS, that was the final nail. But for a while, it had serious swagger. 2. Beepers for kidsies. In the 80s, some parents gave pagers to their teenagers. Not doctors, not businessmen, teenagers. It was supposed to be cool and responsible. But let us be real. Most kids just used them to send 143 or 911 codes to friends, then call from a payphone. Within a few years, they were totally replaced by cell phones. But if you had one clipped to your hip, you felt important. 8. Mini TV watches. They existed. Actual TVs. On your wrist, they looked like high-tech spy gear, but worked like glorified static machines. You had to wear a bulky receiver on your belt, connect it with a wire, and extend a little antenna just to maybe catch a channel. For about 10 minutes, if you stood perfectly still, it was cool in theory. But in practice, the battery died fast. The signal was awful, and nobody could actually see the screen in sunlight. Nice try. 1980s. 9. Power Glove, it's so bad. That was the real tagline. And they weren't wrong. The Nintendo Power Glove looked amazing in commercials. Control your game by moving your hand. Sign us up. In reality, the glove barely worked. Controls were laggy, the motion detection was glitchy, and most kids gave up after 15 minutes. Still, if you had one, you were the coolest kid on the block, even if you still ended up using the regular controller instead. 10. Disc cameras in the race to make cameras more compact. Kodak introduced the disc camera, a slim, round film cartridge that promised simplicity. And yes, it was easy to load, but the photo quality, blurry, grainy, and almost always offset. The cameras were often plastic, the flash took forever to charge, and by the time the pictures came back from the drugstore, most of them ended up in a drawer. A fun experiment, but ultimately a fuzzy failure. 11. TV antennas with foil A, the classic rabbit ear antenna. A must-have for anyone trying to catch Saturday morning cartoons or late-night sitcoms. But in the 80s, if the signal got fuzzy, you didn't call tech support. You grabbed the tin, wrap some around the ends, bend the rods just right, maybe have someone stand with one hand in the air, and boom! Slightly better reception. Until they moved, it was science, sorcery, or pure luck. Who knows? One thing's for sure, it failed constantly, but somehow, we made it work. 12. CD storage, Furniture One CDs hit the scene. Everyone went wild. And then came the ugly, space-eating storage towers. We're talking massive racks, spinning plastic columns, and those huge black zip-up binders you flip through like you were choosing a file in an FBI office. They were bulky. They tipped over. They never matched your living room furniture. And once MP3 South came along, all of it was basically high-priced clutter. But man, flipping through your CD binder on a road trip. That felt like serious decision. 13 waterbeds that seemed like the ultimate luxury, a bed that gently rocked you to sleep. Until it didn't, waterbeds became huge in the 80s. Couples loved them, until one person rolled over and the other practically surfed out of bed. They were heavy, impossible to move, and heaven help you if it sprung a leak. At first, it felt like sleeping on a lake, but by morning, you had back pain and a soggy carpet. Cozy idea, not exactly practical. 14. Aquanet hairspray. Helmet in a can. The bigger the hair, the better the status. And Aquanet was the weapon of choice. Clouds of this spray filled bathrooms across America. One spritz, not enough. You needed a wall of mist to hold those bangs in place. It was flammable, powerful, and could probably be used to seal a roof in a pinch. Of course, it wasn't great for the ozone layer, or for combing out, but hey, for a few glorious years, it held the world together. One teased hairstyle at a time. 15. Video game rental membership cards. Before online gaming, you had to rent your fun, and that meant signing up for a membership at a local video store. You'd carry that little laminated card everywhere, like it was a badge of honor. But forget to return Double Dragon on time. Boom! Late fees. These cards weren't tech, exactly, but they were a huge part of 80s entertainment. And the frustration that came with it, scratched cartridges, previously played stickers, and that one copy of Zelda that was always out, gone now, but remembered with a mix of joy and mild trauma. 16. Console TVs that were also furniture in the 80s. TVs weren't just TVs. They were giant wooden furniture pieces. They came with built-in cabinets, faux drawers, and sometimes even plant holders on top. Moving one took 3 people, and if the screen broke, most families just put a newer TV on top of the old one and kept going. It looked classy in the living room, until you tried to rearrange the furniture, and let's be honest, most of us just used them to hold doilies and fake flowers after a while. 17. Rewinder machines for VHS tapes. Remember the golden rule of video rental? Be kind, rewind, and if you forgot, that 50-cent late fee felt personal. So families got VHS rewinders. Little machines that did nothing but rewind tapes faster than your VCR. Some looked like race cars, others lit up and made noise. But really, it was just a glorified tape flipper. They seemed high-tech, but were totally unnecessary. Still, they saved VCR heads and probably a few friendships. 18. Corded phones with 20-foot curl. These landlines had cords that stretched across the kitchen, around the corner, and into your sibling's room. If you pulled hard enough, we wrapped them around our fingers. We walked too far and knocked over lamps. And the longer the cord, the more likely it was tangled into a permanent mess. Sure, they worked. But privacy, not a chance. Someone was always picking up the other line to eavesdrop or yell, "Get off the phone!" 19. Blank cassette tape collections. Back in the day, we didn't stream, we recorded off the radio, from TV, or from one tape to another. We labeled every Maxell or TDK cassette with Sharpie, scribbled playlists on the inserts, and got real creative when trying to fit your name plus 80s love songs plus volume 2 on one tiny line. They lived in drawers, shoeboxes, glove compartments, and if you accidentally taped over your favorite mix, total heartbreak. 20. Velcro sneakers for adults. Okay, Velcro shoes were great for little kids, but in the 80s, even grown-ups started wearing them. They were easy, fast, kinda space age. But they squeaked a lot, and somehow the straps never quite stayed flat. You'd pull them tight, walk 3 steps, and suddenly they'd curl up like a dried leaf. Velcro tried to take over laces, and for a hot second, it almost did. But eventually, people missed the sound of tying a knot and moved on. The weirdest 80s flops that deserve a mention just when you thought it couldn't get more ridiculous. Clear Pepsi Becker's Nothing Says Refreshing Like Cola that looks like seltzer. It was a gimmick, it confused everyone, and it disappeared almost instantly. But hey, it made for a cool commercial. Thighmaster knockoff Suzanne Summers made it famous. But the market got flooded with weird, squeaky leg tools that promised fitness in 5 minutes. Most ended up under the bed, forgotten next to a VHS workout tape. Polaroid instant cameras with rainbow straps, they were fun. Until you ran out of film, or sunlight, or someone touched the photo before it dried. And don't even get us started on the price of refills. The 1980s were full of unforgettable moments, and plenty of unforgettable fails. These gadgets and gimmicks may not have lasted, but they left a mark on our homes, on our photos, on our mixtapes, and tangled cords. And maybe that's what makes them so special. They didn't have to be perfect. They were just part of the fun. Which one of these did you own? Or maybe, which one do you still have hiding in your garage? Tell us your story in the comments. We'd love to hear about your favorite 80s gadget, even if it didn't quite work the way it was supposed to. And if this video brought back even one laugh or memory, give it a like, subscribe for more, and join us next time for another trip down memory lane. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes failure is the most fun of all.